Are you seriously questioning my authority right now? That's what she said, full eye contact, lips tight, one hand on her hip, the other holding this ridiculous, oversized silver key like she was about to knight me or open a gate to Narnia. Her name was Vivian Blackstone, self-declared Queen of Maple Ridge Meadows, and as I found out within 10 minutes of arriving, the kind of person who thinks an HOA title makes her judge, jury, and border patrol. She blocked my moving truck with her golf cart sideways like she was staging some kind of suburban checkpoint. I hadn't even put the truck in park before she was knocking on the window, demanding an inspection. I laughed. Couldn't help it. I thought it was a joke, like maybe this was the idea of a welcome prank. But her face didn't budge. She looked at me like I was trespassing on holy ground. You can't move in until your vehicle is cleared by the HOA, she said. Then she tried to shove that fake-looking key into the door of my rental truck. Let me back up a sec. I'm Marcus Hartley, single dad, former cybersecurity contractor, just trying to start over after a messy divorce that left me with half a bank account, a full custody agreement, and a daughter named Ellie who deserved way more than what life had been giving her. I found this neighborhood, clean lawns, good schools, quiet streets, and figured it could be a decent place to rebuild. I wasn't expecting utopia, but I also wasn't expecting a civilian blockade the moment I showed up. Ellie was sitting next to me in the passenger seat, holding her stuffed panda, eyes wide as saucers. She whispered, "Is this lady gonna arrest us?" I told her no because I didn't think she could. But man, was I wrong about how far this woman was willing to go. Vivian was the kind of person who ran an HOA like it was a private empire. She wore that fake master key on a chain around her neck, like a sheriff's badge, and walked around inspecting garbage bins and measuring grass length with a ruler. I'm not even kidding. She told me, with zero irony, this key opens every door in Maple Ridge. And the scary part. I think she believed it. I calmly told her I'd read the HOA charter, which I had, because I don't sign anything without going through the fine print, and that there was no clause allowing her to search private vehicles. Her eyes narrowed like I challenged her in front of her troops. And that's when she pulled out her phone and called the cops. "I'm reporting a hostel resident," she said, loud enough for Ellie to hear. "Possible contraband in the vehicle." Contraband. She was talking about boxes filled with kids' clothes and a coffee maker. I could feel Ellie tense up next to me. That's when I stopped laughing. 20 minutes later, a patrol car showed up. The officer stepped out, and by some cosmic twist of fate it was Nate Ramirez, a guy I'd worked with years ago on a government contract. He clocked me, did a double take, and walked over. "Marcus. What the hell are you doing here?" "Apparently violating HOA protocol," I said. Vivian ran up before I could say more, all flustered and hissing about safety breaches and unauthorized access. Nate held up a hand and asked one simple question, "Ma'am, what law has he broken?" She waved her key around again. "I don't need a law. I have authority." Nate raised an eyebrow, looked at me, then back at her. "That key doesn't mean anything. This is a civil matter, and you're not law enforcement." You'd think that would shut her down. But it only made her double down. "Do you know who I am?" she said. I swear, if I had $1 for every villain who said that line, I'd have bought a house in a neighborhood with no HOA. That's when I realized this wasn't just a power trip. This woman genuinely thought she was in charge of people's lives. And if someone like that was running this community unchecked, I had to find out how deep it went. So I started digging. The HOA documents she handed out were edited. I compared them to county filings and found huge gaps. The original president, Harold Finch, had disappeared 7 years ago under emergency leave, but no one in the neighborhood had seen him since. When I asked around, I got vague answers. "He moved," someone said. "Family issues," said another. But his name was still on archived budgets. still listed on a few contractor invoices I pulled from public records. One neighbor, Miss Leona 83, sharp as a tack, told me Harold was strict but fair. Kept everything transparent. Then one day, he was just gone. No boxes, no goodbye. Ellie and I were walking near the old clubhouse one weekend when she spotted a small shed tucked behind some overgrown bushes. The lock was old but brittle. I had bolt cutters, not because I was planning anything, just I come prepared. Inside, under a tarp, were boxes labeled the Finch Archive. And under the boxes, a trapdoor. I opened it. What I found was a concrete basement, musty and dark, filled with filing cabinets, maps, HOA records from not just our neighborhood, but others. Vivian hadn't just taken over Maple Ridge. She and someone inside local law enforcement, had been systematically installing themselves on multiple HOA boards, rewriting charters, dissolving elections, and routing dues into shell accounts. And Finch. There were photos. One of him, circled in red. Liability neutralized, was written across it. I felt sick. I made copies of everything. Drove 2 towns over to a friend in the state auditor's office, gave him a drive, and said, "Start here." But I wasn't done. At the next community meeting, I stood up during open comments. Vivian was at her little podium, smug as ever. I asked, "Can you tell us what happened to Harold Finch?" She froze. The room went quiet. I held up a photo of the archive boxes. "Because I found this. And they tell a different story than yours." Vivian tried to cut me off. Called me a trespasser. Said I'd fabricated evidence. That's when Miss Leona stood up holding something in her hand. It was a real master key. A solid brass one. "Harold gave this to me," she said. "Told me to hold it until someone brave enough came asking." That was it. 3 men in suits walked in, state investigators. They'd been listening in the whole time. Within minutes, Vivian was escorted out. Her partner, Deputy Chief Ed Myers. He was arrested 2 days later. Turns out, they'd laundered over $400,000 across 6 neighborhoods using fake maintenance contracts, dissolved boards, and buried audits. And that ridiculous silver key didn't open a single door. Not even the one to the clubhouse she claimed to run. Now the real HOA is being rebuilt. Elections are open again. The neighborhood still got cracks, sure, but at least the walls aren't hollow anymore. Ellie sleeps better. So do I. But sometimes I catch myself wondering, was Vivian always like that? Or did the title turn her into a tyrant? You give someone a little power, and suddenly they forget what it means to serve, to earn trust, to be decent. So now I'll ask you, what would you have done? Is there a line between keeping order and controlling people? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I think this kind of story is more common than we'd like to admit.